Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. I made a recent video wherein we were discussing so-called mixed financing with regard to Thai retirement visas. What are we talking about here? Generally speaking, the hard and fast rule with regard to financial evidence associated with Thai retirement visas, be it either the OA visa sought abroad or an O visa, particularly an extension sought here in country in Thailand. Now, in the past, I had seen, as we talked about in the other video, I had seen information on websites overseas which said, yeah, you can sort of mix, if you will, the 800,000 baht requirement with the 65,000 baht income requirement. As we had talked about in the past, I'm kind of vaguely remembering this analysis from the past. I think I did it once before when talking about embassies and consulates abroad, but I had never talked about it domestically because, to the best of my knowledge, up until literally yesterday, the day before the making of this video, it was my understanding that here domestically that there was no hard and fast rule outlined regarding even the possibility of mixing, and that mixing was done on a discretionary basis by immigration officers here in country. I have to stand corrected on that. I was talking in one of the comment threads, not something I usually do, but I was talking in one of the comment threads, and somebody was saying, well, look, it looks to us like you can do it. It's just your opinion that you can't. And I said, well, show me where it says domestically here in country that mixing is possible. Now, in the back and forth, I never got that information, but it just kind of bugged me. So I thought about it for a little bit, and I sat down. It took me about an hour sitting down, got to the computer, and just sort of started poking around. I was specifically looking for government websites, and lo and behold, I did find one. So again, happy to stand corrected here. I'm quoting this from immigration.go.th, so that's the immigration department here in country. That's their website. And under the retirement visa category, in case of retirement, first of all, I think it's notable, and I'll get into this analysis in a minute, I think it's noteworthy to point out, this says criteria for consideration. So bear in mind, this is all subject at the end of the day to the discretion of the adjudicating immigration officer. That said, okay, 1, must have evidence of having income of no less than 65,000 baht per month, or, so as an alternative, at least 2 months prior to the filing date and at least 3 months after being granted permission, an alien must have a deposit in a commercial bank located in Thailand of no less than 800,000 baht. So those two are the standards. We've known this, we've been talking about this for years. 800,000 baht in a bank account or 65,000 baht provable monthly pension. Quoting further, after being granted permission for 3 months, an alien can withdraw its said deposit and must have the remaining balance in the bank account of no less than 400,000 baht. Okay? We've talked about that before. That was really enforced quite stringently back in around 2018, going into 2019, when specifically Big Joke, Surachak Big Joke Hakpan, was the head of Thai immigration. And anybody that's been following me since then, we all remember that. Okay, moving forward. But this is the important one. And in the past, I had never seen this on a Thai immigration website. So again, it may have been there. I may have missed it, whatever. But I did, after having that conversation in one of the comment threads, I did go out and I said to myself, you know, just because nobody brought it to you, you should at least go out and maybe take a look around. And I did that. It took, you know, like I said, I set aside an hour to do that research. And I went out and yeah, lo and behold, number 3, must have an annual earning and a deposit in a commercial bank located in Thailand with total, and again, the language on this, I'll get into the analysis in a minute, with totaling of no less than 800,000 baht as of the filing date. So you've essentially got to cobble together 800,000 somehow before you can even file for the retirement visa. Then it gets even more murky. The said deposit must remain in the bank account prior to and after the permission is granted, and the withdrawal can be made under the same condition in criterion 4. Well, Now they're referring back, if you look, to the 800,000 baht provision, which calls into my mind, again, I think what this was designed for, if you will, rules-wise, the rules were sort of designed, especially for a new retirement visa, although it does say you've got to have a total of no less than 800,000 at the time you file, but you can use a balance and a proof of income to prove that up. And then it goes on to say, withdrawal may be made under the same condition and criterion 4. Well, that says, okay, you've got to have 800,000 2 months prior to a filing date, presumably for an extension, and 3 months after being granted the permission. But then after that, you can draw down to as little as 400,000 baht, and then you've got to bump it back up before you again file for a new extension and proceed further. So the way that I would look at this is, this was sort of designed to clarify the parameters, if you will, of Thai immigration's ability to use their discretion when issuing a new retirement visa. So when they put someone into retirement visa status initially, and then down the road, when you're looking at extending that status, they then start using the analysis of the 800,000 drawn down to 400,000 on a, roughly 5 months out of a total number calendar year basis. So the way to look at this, I don't think the way you look at this is say, oh, I can just use mixed, so to speak, finances to continuously extend my visa, my retirement visa into perpetuity. No, the way I look at this, and again, one man's opinion, but the way I look at this is immigration officers can exercise their discretion in favor of a retirement visa applicant. They can exercise their discretion in favor of a retirement visa applicant at the outset and say, okay, look, you don't quite meet either the requirements of 800,000 or 65,000 baht in and of themselves, but so we'll allow mixing at the outset, but you do need to start applying the rule regarding 800,000 or presumably even 65 if you would just move over to a pure pension finance evidence, you'd sort of move over to the pure pension thing. But the way I read it, just from the construction of the rules within that we're quoting, we'll throw those up on stage, but just within the rules of that, just within the stated rules, it looks to me like, okay, this is being designed to use discretion initially to allow somebody to get into retiree status, but then when they have to renew on a yearly basis, you do revert into the 800,000 baht requirement, which is pretty hard and fast. You have to have 800 for 2 months prior to seeking an extension and 3 months after, and then you can draw down to 400 before then re-upping it another time as you extend thereafter. So again, not trying to make this more confusing, but first of all, yes, immigration offices here in country, based on my research now, it looks to me like, yes, there are delineated rules on how they can adjudicate mixing. That said, I stand by my original analysis. You never want to be in a position where you are at the mercy of Thai immigration officers' discretion. It's much better to be in a category where you can just point to an exact number and say, I've met or exceeded that threshold. That's always a more advantageous position to be in. But that said, it does provide a little bit of discretion on the part of Thai immigration officers, especially to my mind, at the outset of getting into retiree status, and then thereafter you have to deal with the rules, the more, I would argue, more stringent rules when you're dealing with extensions. That's how I sort of read this. So I hope this has provided some further clarification, and I hope that this correction has sort of cleared up any misconceptions that are out there regarding finances associated with retirement visas here in the Kingdom of Thailand.